Every year, thousands of people pack up all of their things into a moving truck and they move across states and come here to Utah. Some people are absolutely thrilled and love the decision they made to come here. And sometimes 6 months to a year later, there are those that really realize that Utah just wasn't what they expected. Before you move here, I've created a list of some things that I think that you probably should know. Hey everyone, I'm Connor. I'm a realtor here in Utah. And this channel is dedicated to helping people understand what it's actually like to move and live here in the beautiful state of Utah. Stick around to find out here. If you're thinking about moving here to Utah, my team and I help people relocate here every single week. If you'd like help finding the right neighborhood, the perfect house, the right city, all of my contact information is below in the description of this video. Feel free to reach out to me anytime with any questions you might have, and I'd love to help you out today. All right, well, let's get into our first topic. We've got two topics we're going to cover today. The first one is what everyone thinks that Utah is. The second is what nobody ever tells you about Utah. So when we look at Utah, people think that it might be cheap houses. There's mountains. You got the LDS culture. Everyone there is Mormon. There's snow, and obviously that means skiing and snowboarding. Hey, they had the 2002 Olympics there. And even outdoor recreation. Utah is a very outdoorsy state if you didn't know that. But let's start off kind of just looking at the top of that. Housing. Is it really cheap houses? Not really anymore. COVID kind of killed that because a lot of people moved here from out of state. A lot of people in the state don't want to leave. And so our home prices have really skyrocketed over the past 6 or 7 years. So we have housing, it is getting more expensive. I was actually really surprised this past weekend while I was down in Dallas, Texas for the Junior Olympics with water polo that I got an ad on Instagram saying that I could buy a brand new home with Lennar for $100,000. And this wasn't just like a small home. It was a single family home, probably had 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, maybe a basement or not, I don't know. I really didn't look too much into it. I was just kind of, my mind was blown that I could buy that kind of home with Lennar. Whereas here in Utah, Lennar is now offering a $100,000 single family home. If you're paying something for $100,000, here in Utah, you're probably buying a trailer home, unfortunately. So the housing market is a lot different. Yes, we do have mountains here in Utah, though. The mountains are beautiful. The Wasatch Front here in Salt Lake City is one of my favorite mountain ranges ever. I lived in the country of Chile for a couple of years, and when I came home from Chile and saw the mountains in Salt Lake City, I was so happy to see that they had not changed. They are beautiful. I love hiking in them. I go at least once a year on a big hike with my cousin, and it is a beautiful thing to be in Utah with how easy it is to access hikes and just be outdoors. It's awesome. Now, the LDS culture here in Utah, it is a big thing. A lot of people can like it, a lot of people can't like it. Now, what does that mean? The people are, a lot of things on Sundays are shut down because a lot of people are members of the church, and members of the church believe that you're supposed to keep the Sabbath day holy. They believe that Sunday is the Sabbath day, and so they don't work. So things are closed down, and it's not as busy. Not everything's closed down. There are things out there that still are on Sundays. However, it does kind of help to keep the weekend as an actual weekend and not necessarily having to work 24/7 always, right? So that's a good thing. But people are always kind, and if you move here, you're probably going to find some neighbors that are dropping off some Jell-O salad, some cookies or something to welcome you to the neighborhood because, hey, they want to make new friends. The people of the church are always super, super kind. They are Christians that are just trying to help their friendly neighbors and be loving to their neighbors. Here in Utah, we do get a lot of snow. The past 2 years, we have not got a lot of snow, actually. We've gotten practically no snow, so we've been in a drought for a couple of years, which has been exciting. Has not helped the fire season at all. When we do typically get snow, it does come in a lot. 2022, 2023, we had 2 big snow years, and we had extensive flooding throughout the state because of how much snow we had, which is awesome. And then from 2024 and 2025, we've had no snow. So it's kind of a little bit of mix there of both. But with that snow, it does come with some great skiing and snowboarding through several of the different ski resorts we have here throughout the state. If you're here along the Wasatch Front, you've got the Park City Resort, which is the biggest resort in the state, and almost one of the biggest resorts in the country. It's very expensive to ski there, though. You're more than $300 for a day pass, I believe now. You've got Brighton and Solitude that are up in the Big Cottonwood Canyon. You've got Alta and Snowbird in Little Cottonwood Canyon. Snowbird has probably got to be one of my favorite resorts if you are a more experienced skier or snowboarder. They do not groom the resort there. You're going to have moguls throughout the entire resort, but man, it is so much fun. You've got several other resorts throughout the state, like Sundance down south, Cherry Peak in Logan, and you also have Powder Mountain up north by Ogden, and one of my other favorite resorts, you've got Beaver Mountain up by Bear Lake near the Idaho border. Beaver Mountain's really cool because it's always natural snow. They don't do any of the snowmaking there. It always is just whatever comes down, you get to ski on, and so it's a lot of fun there. In outdoor recreation here in Utah, you're going to find a lot of hiking. Like I said already, we obviously have lots of mountains. You got the skiing and things like that in the winter. There's going to be great hiking trails, running trails, biking for mountain biking. You're going to find a lot of other awesome opportunities out there near the lakes to go boating, to be out there on jet skis, for water skiing, wakeboarding. You'll have off-roading trails down in southern Utah to go out there with four-wheeling with your Jeeps and your four-wheelers, your Broncos, everything there all together. It's a lot of fun. It's beautiful red rocks down there in southern Utah. And we obviously have 5 national parks and a ton of state parks to be able to enjoy the nature here in Utah. A lot of national monuments as well with that too. If you are an outdoorsy person, you will love it in Utah. It's beautiful here. It's awesome. That is also going to now put us into our second topic of what nobody tells you. So, cost of living, definitely for whatever reason, can get a little more expensive. I was really, really surprised to see how expensive our gas is currently right now with being down in Dallas, Texas over the weekend. In Dallas, I paid $3 and I think 30 cents per gallon for gas right now at this time. We're looking 3rd of August or so, so beginning of August, I was paying that much. I came back from Utah and looked at the gas prices today, and it's like $4.70. So it's almost an additional $1.50 if I'm doing my math right there, close to $1.50 more. Little insane to me to see that it's such a big difference because I think we do have oil refinery places here near Salt Lake for one thing, so we should have oil pretty close, but for whatever reason it has to be more expensive too. So I don't know, it was kind of a little crazy for me to see the different prices on that this weekend. But housing is definitely not necessarily any cheaper either. You're looking for, from what I've seen, is if you're looking to buy a home in the $350 to $400 range, you're looking at a mortgage roughly of about $3,000 a month. So it's kind of getting pricey there for that. And then your average townhome is going to be anywhere between $300 to $450, depending on the year and on the size of the townhome as well. Your single family homes are probably going to be closer to the price of $550 and above, also depending on size and everything like that too. So the cost of housing right now is really expensive in Utah, and unfortunately, from what I've seen with everything on the research we've done with everything, I don't think it's going to come down anytime soon. A lot of people I've been told are waiting for that big boom, hoping for another 2008 crash, and I really don't think it's going to be happening anytime soon, as much as people are trying to predict that it's going to. So if you're looking to buy a house, it's going to be better to buy it sooner than later, because if you wait later, the prices are going to just keep going up. I also heard something recently from my real estate partner that he's thinking within the next 5 years, everything's going to go up an additional $100,000 just from the everything that they're reading out there with the market and everything whatnot. It's going to keep going up. So now would be a great time to get into real estate. If you are able to purchase something and you don't have to wait, I would get into it now, because you are going to get that equity out of your home here within the next few years, and you'll be a lot happier, and you won't be shooting yourself in the foot like I have been. Something winter-wise that people don't think about here is where Utah is a valley state. Everything is built in valleys. All the counties are dealt with valleys. So, for example, Salt Lake County is the Salt Lake Valley. Utah County is a valley next to us. Davis County is the valley north of us. They're all done through valleys. And so because of the valleys, the winters really give us bad inversions because of the pressures, the different high pressure, low pressure. As people are driving their cars, other CO2 emissions, with the oil refineries and everything else that's going out there, we get pretty bad inversions in the winter time to where you want to get up in the mountains just to be able to breathe clean air. You look down, you can see it, and it's all just super smoggy. I've heard of a nickname sometimes, Salt Lake City gets as Smog Lake City. So, I mean, it gets pretty nasty in the winter sometimes. So if you have asthma, you might want to figure out how to be able to get out of Utah in the wintertime, or make sure that you have inhalers and things like that, because it can get bad in the winter. The traffic here in Utah is not like LA. You're not going to be sitting in traffic for 6 hours a day, but I-15 does get very busy. If you are on I-15 between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you're most likely going to be stuck in traffic one way or the other, whether that's going north up to northern Utah or south down to Utah County or something like that. You will most likely get stuck in traffic somewhere on that road. In the mornings, probably between 8 and 9:30, you might see a little bit of traffic as well. The altitude is high. You know, it's kind of crazy. I went to Switzerland this past year while my parents were there. I went and visited them. We didn't do hiking in the Alps, but we took up the chairlifts and the trams from the base of the mountains to the very tip of the mountains. And it was kind of crazy to believe, to sit there and think about, like, holy cow, these mountains are the exact same size as the Wasatch Mountains, because they look so much bigger. But the difference is the fact that those mountains start at sea level and then they end at the same height as where the mountains here in Utah are. And whereas here in Utah, the elevation of Utah is about 6,100 feet above sea level. So our tallest mountain is called Kings Peak, which is at 13,528 feet. And so, as you can see, it's like there's an additional 7,000 feet in those mountains, you know, and not all of them are necessarily that high. I think the Twins Peak, when I went and hiked that one in 2024, I believe was somewhere around the 11,000 range up there. And that's one of the peaks that are right here on the Wasatch Front. The elevation does surprise a lot of people, though, and people underestimate it, thinking it's not going to be that bad. But once again, talking about water polos, this past weekend, as I was coaching water polo in Dallas, Texas, I was talking to people about coming to play here in Utah with us, and they said Utah's a whole nother level when it comes to playing water polo, because the elevation is so much higher, they can't breathe, and so it takes them a long time to adjust to be able to play the sport. So kind of fun to think about. If you're going to live here, you're going to have to get used to that. It is a very dry climate. Your lips, you're going to be having to apply chapstick all the time. Your skin, you're going to need lotion, or you're going to have super dry, cracked skin all the time on your hands. You know, your nose is going to get dry. Everything is dry. However, personally myself, I would much rather have a dry heat over a humid heat. When I stepped off the plane in Dallas, Texas last weekend, immediately I felt like I had just got out of a swimming pool, and I'd only been out there for like 3 minutes, and it's just so humid. It's kind of crazy. So it was really nice getting off the plane here in Salt Lake again and walking out at midnight when we got off the plane and realizing, hey, it's 80 degrees, but it doesn't feel like 120 degrees right now. It feels like 80 degrees, and it was almost cool. It was kind of crazy how nice that felt, honestly. Some people don't also realize that Utah honestly is huge. My cousin ran the state of Utah in this spring of 2025. He ran from Idaho to Arizona, beat the world record, and He did it in 9 days, I think is what it was. But then somebody came and beat his record later that year. But to show you the differences, it's 420 miles long as you're looking from the top to bottom. The city of Logan is not Salt Lake. They are very different. And likewise, Salt Lake is not St. George. Once again, those are 3 different areas of the state, and they are very completely different areas. Even if you compare southern Utah, so St. George, which is in the bottom left side of the state, and it's maybe like I think it's like 2 hours out from Las Vegas. St. George is completely different than the city of Moab, which is in the eastern southern part of the state, on the other corner of the state there. They are 2 different areas, lots of different things to do there. With how big the state is, everything is so different here. Everyone's got their own nicknames for different areas. One of my favorites is still to this day is probably got to be Happy Valley. Happy Valley is Utah Valley or Utah County. They call it Happy Valley because everyone goes to BYU or Brigham Young University there, and they get married at like 20 or 21. So everyone's just happy and getting married, and it's insane sometimes. Granted, I can't say that because I got married at 22, and here I am still married 10 years later. Thankfully, my wife still loves me. Last thing to think about is there's a lot of neighborhoods that are growing here in Utah, and that is probably mostly due to new construction. There are a lot of builders out here in Utah that are building. Just to name a few, I already talked about one, which is Lennar. D.R. Horton, which is the nation's biggest builder, is here in Utah. My sister, we just closed on a house for them back in March of this year, and Edge Homes is probably one of the biggest ones here in Utah, I feel like. They do a lot. I've taken almost all of my buyers to them because they have some amazing deals for the buyers. I'm closing on a house tomorrow, actually, which is the second or third house I've closed with them this year. You've got Homes, you've got Ivory Homes, you've got Visionary, Garbett, Brad Reynolds. There are a lot of builders out there doing a lot of different things, and it's pretty crazy to see the difference between all the builders. But I would definitely say, for my own personal pick, if you're looking to buy a brand new home, I would look pretty close to what Edge is doing. Edge has, like I said, some phenomenal deals that they give their clients. I think what I saw that is the most recent is they are giving 9% concessions back to the buyers. I mean, let's just do some simple math right here. I'll pull up my calculator really quick. If we bought a house at $650, okay, and we did 9% concessions, you are just shy of $60,000. You're looking at $58,500, which is coming back to you. And you get to use that for whatever. You can use it for your closing costs. You can use it for bringing the price down on the home. You can't use it for down payment, unfortunately, so you're going to have to bring your own down payment if you need to do that. But you can use it for a rate buy down as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can use it for, and it's pretty dang awesome what Edge is offering to all of the people that help buy the homes. And Edge, like I said, Edge is doing a ton. The past 2 years, they've been mostly down in Utah County, but I went to a big meeting with the vice president of sales in March, I think, of this year, and they said that they have like 10 communities coming to the Salt Lake County area here this year in 2026. So I think that if you are looking to buy new construction, you definitely should check out the Edge team, and I would love to help you get introduced to them. I've got a really good relationship with one of the realtors there, Parker Eads. He's an awesome guy, helps me out a ton, and has a lot of information on everything that Edge does. He'll help you get hooked up there. Anyways, the last thing here, I guess, there really is Utah is unique. That's the best way to put it. Utah is unique. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to probably come and actually experience it to know if you will like it. But if you are looking to move to Utah, I am definitely here to help you out any way that I can to make sure that you get the best knowledge and to be able to, what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess just to help you enjoy the experience. Utah is great. I love Utah. All my family's here, and I probably will never leave the state. I don't know. Don't tell my wife that. She wants to leave the state, so maybe we'll leave the state. Who knows? But right now, we're not going anywhere. Utah's great. And if you're seriously considering about moving to Utah, this channel really is going to answer just about every question you'll have about Utah. So stick around, follow along, subscribe so you can know what's going on. In the next video, we're going to break down what it actually costs to live in Utah, and not just a simple mortgage breakdown a little bit, but we're going to get down into the dirty details. You know, I did a little video on this last year. I'm gonna do an updated of 2026 to see what it's like, so you can really know what it's like, what the cost of living is here in Utah, and see if it's something that you think you could afford. Thanks guys for sticking around for the video, and we'll see you in the next video.